All right, thank you all for joining us this evening for our board meeting, our millage rate hearing. It is June the 28th, 2023. We're going to call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Dr. Hooker, if you would conduct roll call for us.
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Heidi Hensley, Ms. Claudia Butt, Ms. Linda Davis,
Here.
Dr. Patricia Yeager,
Here.
Mr. Tim Denson,
Here.
Dr. Mombi Anderson, Dr. Lakeisha Gant,
Here.
Ms. Nicole Hull, and Mr. Mark Evans.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. So we do have a quorum here. We are going to move forward to item 2, and that is to amend and or adopt the agenda. The floor is open.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Yeager, a second by Ms. Davis. Any follow-up questions or discussion? All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, if you would raise your hands and say aye. Aye. All right, that motion carries. We are going to move forward to item 3, and this is our millage rate hearing. Dr. Hooker?
At this time, I will ask Dr. Elizabeth Whitaker to present our presentation on the millage rate.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Dr. Yeager? Let me clarify that the questions are from the board. It's not a Q&A with the public. However, there will be an opportunity for anyone that signed up to speak after Dr. Whitaker and the board has asked questions. Dr. Yeager?
Could you clarify the question that I've heard from many about the state law and the 15% guidelines of the state, and whether, as a charter district, we fall under those guidelines?
Yes, ma'am. So as a charter district, you are able to waiver certain guidelines, and that is one that we were able to waiver.
All right. Dr. Evans?
I have a question. Could you go back to the slide that showed the projected revenue, the one with the little lines? Yeah, that one right there, all right, budgeted revenues. All right. Now, I know that you weren't here at that time, but I'm looking at 2010, 2011, and 2012, where it seems like there's this huge dip. Can you maybe explain? I mean, again, you weren't here, so but maybe you, in your capacity before, you could maybe explain this to me. Thank you very much.
Any additional questions from our board colleagues? All right, thank you very much. Now we're going to transition as a part of the millage rate hearing to hear from individuals who have signed up to speak, and I just want to be sure that everyone that would like to speak has signed up. All right, okay, so we are going to transition to our speakers. A couple of reminders regarding public comment. The full policy can be found in BCBI, that's Board Policy BCBI, but I'll highlight a few aspects of the policy. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. At this point, remarks must be concluded. No speaker will indulge in personal attacks, and all comments are to be addressed directly to the Board of Education. At a board meeting, board members will not respond to questions or comments from the public, but the district may respond to public input as needed or appropriate within 10 working days. And then lastly, the use of obscene, profane, vulgar, physically threatening, or abusive remarks will not be allowed. Loud and boisterous conduct or comments by speakers or members of the audience are not allowed as well. Thank you all for signing up to speak and sharing your thoughts with us. We are going to start with Paul Bunce. Can you speak more directly into your microphone, please, so that we can all hear you? Thank you. Mr. Bunce, I do want to clarify, it's not a Q&A, but this is an opportunity for you to share any thoughts or ideas or concerns with the board. There's not a Q&A. You're welcome to meet with individual board members individually or district staff that's here. We would be more than happy to answer your question. This aspect of the meeting, however, is for you to share any thoughts or concerns that you may have. Thank you. Our next person is Larry Jordan.
Fact that is above state law, and I don't know how you can get away with that. This 21 million more than is allowed by the state, what are you doing with all those millions while you're increasing our property taxes and not rolling them back? Regarding your job as an elected official, most of you show disregard for your elected position responsibilities. And what I'm talking about, in meeting 1, there was only 4 people of you attended. In meeting 2, only 3 of you were in attendance. And thank you to the 2 board members that attended both of the meetings. I won't call you out because I don't want it to be perceived as an attack. It's not. It's to thank you for showing up. And the lack of board member attendance and involvement is a possible reason why our school board is still under review. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. John Elliott.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, the superintendent, appreciate your time and your service here. Since the last time I spoke at this meeting, it's been brought to my attention there's an additional $4 million that's unallocated. And in addition to the $52 million that's not allocated, I just heard that Bear County rolled theirs back. I hadn't been able to verify this. They rolled theirs back 2 mills. Due to the same problem y'all have here, too much money in unallocated accounts. I'm asking the school board to adhere to the state law. And I understand there's some sort of waiver. If you'd like to clarify what that waiver is, I'd certainly love to hear it, since it hadn't been addressed in your budget presentation. OCG CA 20-2-167 says that the school board may not accumulate more than 15% of its total budget as unallocated funds. Since the board is a recommending authority, and the county commission has ultimate authority to approve your recommendations, then barring any action by your board to correct a situation which is illegal on its face when the county is put in the situation of approving an illegal budget. If this occurs, then the State Department of Revenue is going to have to get involved. The State Board of Education also will have to get involved before the Clark County Digest can get approved. And finally, I came here this evening not to ask you to give up any tax dollars that Clark County School Board is entitled to, or to cut any programs that you might undertake in this upcoming budget year, but to ask you as a board to give us back our tax dollars and the interest earned on them. It's our money, and we want it back. Roll back the millage rate, 4 mills, and give it back to us. It's within your power to do so, and I would certainly love an explanation of what this waiver is. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Phyllis Childs.
Good evening. I am Phyllis Childs. I was a 31 and plus year employee of the Clark County School District. I taught English as a second language and loved every minute of it. I have a daughter who attended Clark County schools, and she is thriving now. This is all to say that I have always been supportive of our school district. However, I have some concerns. Between the Board of Education and the Athens-Clarke County government, property taxes are out the wazoo. And we have to do something about it. And I'm challenging you to take a look at your budget, use a sharp pencil, and see if you are asking for funds that maybe you can do without. I'm very concerned about a line item for public relations of almost $700,000. I want to know, what are you doing with that? I also am concerned about this reserve money and what is happening and why we have to have that much. And I say all of this because I hope you're not cutting programs for our students. I hope we're increasing literacy and talents and graduation rates. I hope we are retaining fabulous teachers. And I hope we're going to get back some of the people we lost in the last 2 years who went to other private schools and other counties. But I don't think that public relations fund is really going to help us do that. I would like for you to roll back and reduce the millage rate. I really encourage you to think long and hard about this from now until tomorrow night. I hope you've already considered it. Many of you own property here, and you know what has happened in the last few years. Many of you may rent, and rental prices are going to continue to go up in Clark County because of property taxes. Please help us out. Please help our students, because our students belong to families who are dealing with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ross Watson.
Well, I have the pleasure of being here, and I thank you for your time and your commitment. Okay. I had something entirely different I was going to say, but it's the first meeting I've ever been here at the board. I'm usually at the county commissioner meetings, and I've learned a lot since I've been here. I don't think you have earned the right to require us to continue to invest in some of the decisions that have been made over the last few years. We're not getting a good return for our money. The children are losing dramatically, and it's really sad. I'm retired, and I didn't plan on getting back involved in the educational business. I spent my time going to support my children and the communities I lived in. But you're letting our kids down. If you're not giving them a chance to be successful, you're losing your students. You've been averaging 900 plus students per grade, and when they hit the 9th grade, you know, you hit like 1,000, and then all of a sudden, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, we go from 800 to 700 to 600, and you're only graduating 80% of your senior class, and that was a 1% increase last year. You're letting the community down. You're letting the people that invested the money. We want to support education, but we want a successful education. We want people being successful, and it's not happening, and money is not the issue. You've had consistently money coming. You have a slush fund of, you've heard about, which you got a waiver from the state, so you put it back in your pocket. We won't talk about that, okay? The millage rate has to come down. The population and demographics is increasing, and the number of retired people that have elected to come here to follow their grandchildren and have enjoyed living in Athens. And that section of the population is growing. But you gotta remember, they're on fixed income. Our legislator worked real hard to get an exemption increase for Clark County. Just Clark County, the only county that got that exemption to $25,000. That's supporting the community, and that's what you need to do. You need to give back and demonstrate to us that you can improve this education system. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Jeb Bradbury.
Hi, I'm Jeb Bradbury. I got some questions for the finance director, and you don't have to answer them today, but on your screen up here, you said that 18.8 millage rate would generate $221 million worth of income for the school system, where your tentative budget is budgeted for $214 million, and I want to know why the difference in $7 million there. You can look it up on your computers while I talk. Hope everyone received my email yesterday. I sent it trying to save some time. I was the one asking for a $4 million rollback using your unallocated $7 million. Surprising that that's the same number from your 2024 budget and the $20 million excess that you're carrying in your fund balance. If my numbers are wrong, or I'm interpreting the law wrong, I would love to hear from the finance director and or your attorney. I see that you're going to hide behind the law, being that you're saying the whole school system is a charter school. And my question is what's morally right? When 2 years ago you had a $36.5 million fund balance, why was that good enough back then? And now you think you have to have $54 million a year from now. That's just not right. It's just not right. I would like to point out that when I read the flagpole back in April, it said you were considering a millage rate increase of back up to 20 mills. That struck me as funny because I knew there was no way anyone knew what the increase in the digest was going to be. I knew then your budget process was flawed and something was wrong. And we're seeing this $7 million float around and a $51 million balance. We got some problems, people, and y'all need to address it. I would like to point out to you that Barrow County, Winder, Georgia, 20 miles up the road, had the exact same problem you have. 2 weeks ago, they voted to lower their millage rate by almost 3 mills, not 2 mills like Mr. Elliott said. This is the only way to get taxpayers back money into their hands. In closing, I would like to say that it's comical that you have accumulated $20 million excess in 2 years while we've had art teachers begging for the public for supplies, and you intend to cut the STEM program from our elementary schools. Shame on y'all. If you didn't read my email, go read it. It should be in your inbox.
Thank you. Gordon Roden.
Good evening. I want to take a little different approach, okay? I'm here tonight because I'm concerned for our children in Clark County. You know, being a papa, being a grandfather, we've had the opportunity to watch our grandchildren grow up in different school districts across the country. And my concern is for our children and the level of education that they are receiving. Not that the teachers are not qualified, but I think sometimes we're riding the wrong horse, you know? We're not in, my understanding is, we're not in the business of the Board of Education to be a fundraising organization. We're in the business to educate our children. I think if you were to poll the majority of the people that are here tonight, they don't have kids in Clark County Public Schools. But we are residents and taxpayers in Clark County, and we're concerned about the value of our taxes and is it going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. When I heard tonight for the first time that there's $700,000 in a public relations fund, I'm appalled. I'm appalled. Our children can't read, and we can't hire more reading specialists, and we're spending money, we're socking it away in a public relations in order to attempt maybe to hire more teachers to come. I don't understand. It's my understanding during the COVID process too that a lot more teachers were hired in Clark County. My question is, are all those teachers warranted at this time? Or do we need to go back and look at our budget and how the money is being spent? I do appreciate what you're doing. I don't know how the commissioners in our county and you as the Board of Education members meet, but you have a fiduciary responsibility to handle that money that's been invested to you to the best of your God-given ability for the purposes intended for, and that's to educate our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan Roden?
I want to first of all say thank you to the board member who responded to an inquiry I made at a previous meeting that I spoke at a hearing. Thank you for that response. It was the only person that did respond to that inquiry. Secondly, the video, there were 3 hearings and only 2 videos are showing on the CCSD Board of Education website. I would like very much to know where that other video is. It's public comment that needs to be made available to the public. And when asking for more money, I tend to look at what is being produced. Though there are a number of outstanding students in the public school system here in Clark County, we're all very proud of those many, many students, but there is also a deficit in math and reading skills, and I particularly am concerned, as I've mentioned to some of the board members and to the superintendent, that I would love to be able to have the opportunity to work with any student with reading, if it were only one that could learn to read. But if a child cannot learn to read, they cannot learn expeditiously. This board is still under a cognia review. That speaks volumes to the public whether you think that is significant or not. August will tell the tale. I hope that it will be all squared away, but to be under review for as long as this school board has been under review, the school system has been under review, is not a good thing. I'm hard put to want to put more money into the system if it's not going to solve the problems that we have. If money's the problem, we should have the smartest kids in the nation. We should have enough money to spend. If the money that is being spent were spent on individual children given back to parents to spend that money in education, I wonder what would be the difference that we would see. Our schools are majoring on curriculum that focuses on underpinning the base. We need to have a majoring on underpinning of basics in education. We should be getting to a better return on our investment. Also, it was mentioned that $20, $30, $40 is all you're going to get for if we change the millage. And I think that it is very much an indictment because people pitch pennies. Every penny counts. If it's $20, $30, $40, that counts. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Johnson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Johnson. My wife and I, we live on the east side. We also have owned an IT business in the area for over 20 years. We want to start by saying thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak here today. My wife and I have some concerns with how our tax dollars are being managed also. First, everyone should be concerned with how long this board has been under review. I agree with the other speaker, that speaks volumes. Second, we are also concerned with the large surplus the county has in their treasury while continuing to increase tax revenues on taxpayers. We are also concerned, for comparison purposes, that neighboring conservative governed Oconee County actually has a lower property tax rate than Clark, and yet somehow Oconee County manages to have some of the highest ranked public schools in the state, while Clark County continues to have some of the lowest ranked schools in the state. This is not only embarrassing, but totally unjust to all the taxpayers with school-aged children who are forced to pay not only the same amount in taxes as their counterparts in Oconee, but then have to pay additional large sums of money every year to a private school in order for their children to have equally adequate schooling. At all additional cost. It's a shame. Anyway, thank you for your time and attention with all these concerns.
Thank you. According to my list, that concludes our speakers for this evening. We will move forward to item 4, which is adjournment. The floor is open.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Denson, a second by Dr. Yeager. Seeing that there are no objections, we are adjourned at 6:35 p.m. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your public